This show contains strong language. If you're a sensitive little bitch, we recommend you change the station immediately so your little girl feelings don't get hurt.
Live from Washington, D.C., it's the Pay Dirt Football Show.
Are you trying to give me the double talk?
You talk too much.
And now, sit back and listen to 2 hours of biased, brainless blithering sure to drop your sports IQ by at least 20 points.
7 years of college down the drain.
Pay Dirt is on the air.
All right, welcome everyone to the new Pay Dirt show for the PAFL. We're entering week one of the new season. And so we're going to get everybody caught up, do some predictions. Excuse me. Got a little bit of a cold going here. So we're going to do some predictions for the upcoming season, and also I think for this week too, as well. So I'm going to turn this over to Calvin and let him start talking. Calvin, you got it, buddy.
First of all, I hope you feel better, Len. I appreciate you toughing this out, and also good evening to Joe as well.
Good evening.
Who your work is greatly appreciated on the PAFL. So we're gonna dive right in here in just a minute. I think it's pretty cool, pretty exciting to start this year. I think the overall looks like it's pretty competitive. 8 teams, maybe a dozen can win. I mean, Kenny in the PSAFL won with Jared Goff. So I mean, I think the game is kind of equalizing, even some disparity in talent. So some good calls, a good break here or there, and it could be quite competitive. And before I turn it over to Joe, one other minor thing, remember to try to hit the website as much as you can, because every time you hit the website, it helps Len a little bit, because he is running about a $600 deficit, if my numbers are right. And really what sets the league apart, in my opinion, is the website and Joe's contribution and Len's. So if we want to stay the premier Action League, just keep that in mind. And with my long rambling, I will turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Calvin. I personally like doing these predictions, even though I mean, Jeff was always much better at this, and he used to always brag about how his accuracy rate. And I have no ability to brag about accuracy rate, but at least it's a good chance to sit there and to kind of scout everybody out and to kind of look ahead as far as what we were going to do. And this week, I mean, first to start off the season, I'm sure it was done by design, but there's a lot of close games, and I think it's because of the interconference schedule, first versus first in each division and stuff like that. So almost every game is very competitive. And you're right on, because what we had to do, we had to add a 17th week. So the way the 17th week was added, I looked at the interdivisional games from last year, because we do rotate through all of the conferences. We've done this now. This is the 3rd year, meaning we copy the actual NFL schedule when they had 28 teams. So for example, the AFC East will 1 year play the NFC East, then the next year it'll play the NFC Central, and then the 3rd year it'll play the NFC West, and we rotate it through. So it gives you a good chance of playing everybody. So a long-winded way of saying what we did for the 17th week is I added a game from the same conference that we played last year, and I matched it up, first versus first last year. That's why it's Chicago versus Indianapolis, second versus second, Tennessee versus Minnesota, etc. So you picked up on that correctly. Yeah, I mean, as I start going through here, especially like I said, and like I said, I made a point not to look at Len's predictions before I did mine, because I didn't want to be tainted by that. But then after I got done looking, I was thinking, wow, there are some significant differences in the way we were looking at these games. Starting with the first game, I was sitting there looking at it, when Indy got a hold of Cam Jordan, I thought that really did a lot for their defensive front. And so with you guys facing each other, I mean, I really think Indy is going to be in the in the talk as far as winning that conference as well. They're going to be right up there with Jacksonville, with Cleveland, and with Vegas, and so I just personally think that this is this is probably one of the worst weeks to be playing Indy if I was with you, Calvin, because number one, you're going to have a bit of a learning curve, or at least a little adjustment in how you call a game, based upon the fact that you're now dealing with a running quarterback versus a passing quarterback like you had in Joe Burrow. And then secondly, Indy's got Winston, and I've had Jameis Winston in a lot of leagues, and when he's on, he can really be on, and that was the thing I looked at in this, and it's like, just a gut guess is that first week, if you get the good Jameis, it's going to be a tough close game. And
so Indy has Carr. Indy does have Carr, not Jameis. I think that's maybe the second game down.
Right. Right.
Okay. My mistake. Sorry about that.
But Bob is a very good coach. Bob and I actually go way back. We played in Strat basketball leagues. But to your point, Indy's a tough matchup. It's going to be a very tough game either way. And you're right. I have no clue what I'm doing with Hurts. I don't play practice games, so we're going to learn on the fly.
Yeah, like I said, I have a feeling by the third or fourth week, you'll kind of have your game plan in mind. But first week's always tough. I knew it was tough for me last year when first week I was in playing, and fortunately I played Atlanta first game, but then the second week I played Cleveland, and Cleveland beat me. I'll go back to your Jeff comment about our former procrastinator. This is a tough week to pick. I don't think he would scream, and only miss one game this week. There are just way too many close games. And my key to winning against Indianapolis is for Hurts to just run the ball, unplanned, scramble for touchdowns, and I'll be fine. If he doesn't, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, and it'll be, like I said, in when I did in the write-up, and I've got to look at my write-up because it says Derek Carr. But yeah, it's going to be a matter of whether Carr can go ahead and can convert. I think both you guys are going to move the ball, but the question is whether or not you're going to score touchdowns and in the red zone, and that could if you end up getting touchdowns, you'll win. If you end up kicking a lot of field goals, then you may be on the other side. So
I was glad you didn't pick me. I mean, I know it's a tough game to call, so we can go down to like Tennessee and Minnesota now. I think this is the Winston game, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's the Winston game. Yeah, okay, yeah, and I got to read my my write-ups here while I'm looking. But yeah, this is the Winston game here, and like I said, Tennessee and Minnesota, they both are very good teams, and probably if you were picking this game, like I said, week 5 or 10, I mean, because Winston's only going to play 7 games, but if you actually look at it, he's actually a little higher rated than what Matt Ryan is, and if he gets a full game out of Jameis, now if Jameis goes down first quarter, then all bets are off. But I think that Tennessee runs a real chance of maybe pulling this off.
I hope so. You know who I'm cheering for.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you went the whole entire season behind Minnesota from week 1 all the way until week 17. So you find out that the first week is way overrated.
Yeah, I'm always chasing Eric from behind, so I don't know. I try to change that, but I need some help to change that.
And if go by this, then I mean, the third game there, Pittsburgh at Detroit. You both might be end up there chasing Detroit and Green Bay. I with Detroit against Pittsburgh, the thing is, Pete always plays really tough. But I honestly think that Detroit has enough weapons, especially on defense, where they can go ahead and make enough plays to maybe contain Pittsburgh and keep them at bay and pull off a first win. And then likewise with Green Bay and Cincinnati. And again, this was a tough game because Cincinnati, Nino's got a good team there. but so does Green Bay, and both those teams are going to be sitting there probably clawing for a playoff spot. And this week, this will probably be a game that might very well make the difference between deciding which one of these two teams makes the playoffs and which one doesn't.
Yep. It's pretty early to make that, but I mean, it is an important game.
Well, I mean, because in so many of these games, the teams that are on the top will win on top. I think the team I think last year was San Francisco, where they were sitting there and they were playing, they were winning the games they're supposed to win, losing the games that you kind of predicted they were going to lose. And it's those few games in the middle that you sit there, and if you pull those off and can somehow, catch an upset or two, that's what'll propel you into the playoffs, as opposed to sitting there and watching them from home. I'm trying to remember if this is the game that Len had mosted as game of the week. Or no, it was the Chargers. Never mind. But the Jacksonville and the Rams. That's going to be a very good game. I really do. Sean and it's a replay of the PSAFL championship game. Both owners. And
who did you pick? I can't remember who you picked here.
I picked Jacksonville on this one here, just simply because I think that the secondary, Jacksonville has just a bit more secondary, and if they can make a stop or two somewhere along the line, they could make things tough for Kenny to keep up with them. I think it's going to be a high scoring game because both teams got good offenses, and also Kenny has. Is just a remarkable coach. So, but I like in that PASFL game, I think that personally, Sean called a good game. It's just he got some bad breaks.
Yep.
So this will be his chance for revenge starting in week 1. And then
he's got a better quarterback this time. They got two quality quarterbacks going at it this time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got the GOAT, but then again, Herbert is it's kind of hard to bet against him. And then the next game is Cleveland versus myself and Arizona, and I really wanted to not pick me, but I at the same time I think I've got a good chance. But that being said, if Joe Mixon goes off, it could be I could get shut out pretty bad. So
and you got a good Stafford too. You got a really good Stafford on Cleveland this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Super Bowl season and stuff. So I mean, Cleveland. I think Cleveland is going to be to me. I think they're the favorite to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. So hopefully, home field advantage will work. Otherwise, I still think it'll be a good game between Stan and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Chargers at Buffalo, or Buffalo at the Chargers. I like the team. I think the Chargers are in there with the big boys this year. The thing is, this is just a horrible matchup for them. I mean, that running attack that Buffalo has, it's going to be very difficult for them to stop them. And if they don't, then it could be a long day. And plus, also the fact is they've got to pass. Joe Burrow, that whole offense is set up on passing, and they just happen to be going against probably the best secondary in the league right now.
It might come down to L-Jax if he gets hurt or not. I mean, Stan told me it's tough playing with the scrambling quarterbacks. I'm about to learn first time. He's, sometimes when you want them to pass, they just can't hit the throw. It's a good game though.
Or if you design, it's like 3rd and long, and you say you want to pass, and unless you designate that they can't run.
Right.
And if you do that, then you what's the use of having a running quarterback? So, and then the next game was New Orleans and Atlanta. We just found out the winner of that game. But yeah, I mean, New Orleans, Don was giving me such a hard time about going ahead and predicting he would be in the contention to get the first draft pick. And like I told him, it's like the idea of that is the division he's in and whether or not he, is going to take on a lot more losses just simply because he's got 4 other quality teams in his division. But he pulled out the win in Atlanta, and this might very well have been the battle for last. So,
and you were only off by like 3 points. What did you pick? 27-17?
24-17.
It was 24-13.
So yeah. So one more touchdown. But I mean, like I said, both teams have had some places in their defense where they've got some solid players, but then Atlanta's got some more work to do. So,
and as you said, they got Zach Wilson. So if if a team ever needed another quarterback, a high lottery quarterback, unfortunately, it's Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be relying on Zach all that much next year. So they're going to have to give themselves. So I mean, this could be a 2-year build as opposed to a 1. So. Then Vegas at Philly, and again, this another tough game because Philly plays so tough along every year. And I think that for the most part, Las Vegas the Raiders are going to be in there and they're going to be winning, and they're kind of built like you in a way, Calvin, in the sense that they've got a great team around them, and then they're going to try to take their quarterback and take and go with a middling quarterback. And the thing is, I don't think Davis Mills is anywhere near the level of Jalen Hurts. And next year the Raiders will have Geno Smith, but this year I think in a close game like this, especially against a superior defense, the Raiders might fall a little bit short.
Yeah, Rodgers versus Mills, that's the big Philly advantage. But like you say, Las Vegas is stronger in other places. If I remember, their defensive backs are quite good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, on paper, I mean, you can actually sit there and say the Raiders actually have a defense that matches up well against Philly. But I mean, again, they also have other good weapons on the Raiders. But you got to, and I know Chris will figure out a way to try to, keep, to do enough play action and try to maximize the ability. And he did a real good job with Trubisky last year. But I don't know if Davis Mills will do the same type of give you that same type of results that Trubisky did. So.
And Philly usually doesn't have a stud wide receiver, but I might be wrong this year. They usually have some middling guys, but he might have DJ Moore. I can't remember.
Let me take a look here. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, and they never quite. Oh yeah, they had DJ Moore who's got 93 receptions. So
they've got one this year. He's got a go-to guy.
Yeah, and so I mean, but if you stop the other team from scoring, I mean, that's the problem I had playing them last year. So, and then. Yep. And then Denver at New York. And again, another, you got a superior offense versus a superior defense. And I think that Denver might have just enough to, and again, it's mainly because it's Josh Allen versus Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's throwing to Kupp, though, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, that'll... it's a good thing that Josh Allen doesn't have Cooper Kupp.
That's right.
But they
Josh Allen's got like 5. They have like 600 receptions on that team. They could throw like every play of the season, I think.
I think I said in the write-up, it's like basically they've got the receiving core that could fill 2 teams on Denver.
Right, and they have Chubb too, just for fun. Do I remember right? Is that Chubb?
Yeah. So in other words, it's going to be, New York is going to have their hands full. again, this also though is a new owner playing with this team, but it sounds like he's got a lot of experience playing, and so I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get out there and play with all these new toys. So
Yeah, it's a fun game. I mean, to me, to beat Denver is almost for sure got to be a high-scoring game unless they turn it over a lot. They just have too much offense.
well, that was kind of my thought on this is that, I mean, New York will have a good defense, but I mean, I don't think there was hardly any game at all last year where Denver didn't make it high scoring. And the question is can Baker Mayfield lead the team to 4 touchdowns?
Right.
So, and then Seattle at Dallas, and this was the game I had as the blowout of the week, even though both teams.
Yes. This is the easiest one to pick. Sorry, Seattle, but this is the easiest one to pick.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said in the write-up, I mean, both these teams on paper finished 4th in their divisions, but they, from the day that the last snap happened during the season, those two teams went in dramatically different directions. Not the least of which is Jonathan Taylor going ahead and leading the league in rushing and carrying 300 rushing attempts at 5.5 yards a carry, and then Seattle just. Their defenses really went down a notch from last year. So I personally don't see, I mean, again, our friends at David DKS can sit there and design this game to do a lot of weird things. But personally, I don't see how that defense is going to be able to stop Dallas.
Exactly.
So, so this, and so it's, at least it gives Len a chance to start off a little better than he did last year. So, and then San Francisco at Carolina. I kind of, again, it should be a close game. But the thing is that I personally think you got Mahomes, so. Which is the main thing that San Francisco has, or the Panthers have, but then San Francisco, they have Mac Jones, and then they have a few more weapons, and they got a few more guys out there. So I think that San Francisco can win a close one. But again, either one of these two teams, and I think they're both going to be in that middling range there, fighting for a playoff spot like they were last year.
Yep.
And then Kansas City at Tampa Bay. And first off, this is the game I really have to hand it to both teams, because I think both owners are really doing a good job as far as rebuilding their franchises.
Yes.
Brendan's doing a heck of a job with Tampa, and he's got a lot of pieces in place. I mean, he's not gonna make the playoffs this year, but that team, that used to be the Saints, is going to be very competitive in a lot more games than they have been in previous seasons. And so, they're about a year or so away. Whereas Kansas City,
Lawrence too. I mean, Lawrence coming to life in the NFL really changes the outlook. But go ahead on KC.
Oh no, I was going to say KC. They may be 2 years away, and the reason is because their secondary, they're going to have to. I mean, they've got to basically build everything back up from there, and it's very hard to build a secondary in 1 year.
So did you say, do you do these lines, or are these lines generated by the game?
No, I do them.
Tampa Bay by 13.
Yeah, I can't remember why I put that out. I was looking at that. Obviously, there was something that I saw in this game that I thought Tampa Bay was going to run away with it, but we'll see. That might have been a mistake. Maybe it may be Kansas City by 13. I don't know.
No, Kansas City. I mean, it's Tua versus Lawrence. I don't think he's going to start Mike White.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
I was looking at it. I can't remember doing the game and why I picked that, but. There's two things that I really look at for the first game of the season when I'm doing these lines. Number one, what's the salary cap? If one guy's got $98 million and the other guy's got $122 million, the guy with $122 million, typically I'm going to give him the home team 3 points, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to split that salary difference up, and then I'm going to take into account who's the coach of each team.
Yep.
So that's pretty much what for the first game, maybe even into the second game. After that, you start weighing heavily on coaches and their talent that they have.
Yeah,
It just catches my eye because when I look at the Dallas game, I would put Dallas by 21. But it's just me, and I'm not.
I don't think it's going to be that much. I think it's going to be hard for them to stop Dallas's running game. But I've lost games that I was sure I was going to win before, so you never know until it's over.
But it's Sam Darnold, right? I've had a lot of Sam Darnold, and I can tell you he's no fun. But
No. Okay, did we take care of that Miami game?
no, that's the last one.
Okay,
that's the last game.
okay, we got 10 minutes here.
Yeah, okay. And then Miami, again, both of these teams finished last, but again, Miami finished last in that AFC East. And they've got a much better team. They're not going to finish in the last in that division this year because of the rebuild that Vegas has. And so I think I think Miami will win this game somewhat comfortably. And but then again, Washington has a lot to look forward to because they've got a lot of they got a lot of picks for this upcoming draft, and they've got a lot of guys waiting to play for them. And in 2 years, you guys out there in the NFC East are going to have your hands full.
So who's Miami's quarterback? I don't remember.
Let's see. Miami's quarterback was Carson Wentz. So we're not,
Oh, so Andy gets to play against Carson Wentz. That'll be fun.
Well, Carson Wentz did not. Everybody likes to sit there and talk about what a horrible year he had. His year wasn't that bad. But, I mean, again, he's going against Jimmy Garoppolo. So, I don't,
I'll go back to my Kenny Mann shout out. I mean, he won a title with Jared Goff. Wentz is every bit as good as Jared Goff in this game. So, yeah, that's going to be, I think Andy will be tough because it's early in the season and fatigue isn't an issue. But you are right. Overall, Miami's just too deep.
Yeah. What updates do we have to give to the owners for opening week?
I sent the second email because I forgot to say submit your results to the website and encouraging people to go to the website as much as possible.
Yeah, it's always good, and as I mentioned to you, it gets a little money in the pocket to pay for this stuff. The cost for running all these leagues is about $600 a year. The Google ads make a little over $100. I typically get about $350 in the fund drives. Excuse me. So it's still a little short. We could bump that up. It would help. Excuse me, I got a frog here.
Really?
Yeah, I had one person. In fact, I think it was Howard. Tragically, he offered to give me money way back this summer when I was commissioner in the fall. I was like, thank you, but I don't really need it. You should give it to Lynn. And then he was going to, I think give it to you during the fund drive. But unfortunately, Howard passed away before then.
Oh, yeah.
But that's all I have, Lynn. I mean, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's...
it's going to be a great season.
Pretty competitive. It's pretty competitive all around. And I learned something. I learned that you do the lines. I didn't know where those lines were coming from. I thought they were coming from the game.
No, I just do that when I update the site for the week. I go ahead and do that. It's just a regular line, like a Vegas line. It's not going into any detail like you do.
Yeah, can we bet on that?
Yes.
I would definitely give the 5 if I'm Seattle.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know. Excuse me.
Roll over.
Salary-wise, they're over $120 million for their salary, so they've got some talent on the team.
Pop it open, and I'll show you the one minor oversight you have. You have to look at players that they bid on that are way high, and that can be deceptive.
No offense, but I don't think Austin Bryant is a $10 million player.
So that's what I do.
Well, Darnold's going to hurt him.
Yeah, Darnold is brutal. I mean, there's no. I played him way too much. But if you look at, and it's too small for me to see, but if you look at the values and you start seeing round numbers, like 10 million, 8 million, you could tell that that's free agent, and those guys are really inflated. He might even, did he get a DB I can't remember if he bid on a good DB and had
I
to pay a
don't
lot.
know. I don't know.
Same thing like New Orleans, Don's team. They got like 120 mil, but if you look at Hunter's like 15 mil, and he's definitely not a 10 plus.
I don't. They shouldn't be able to beat me, but you never know. I've lost to teams. When you go kick a field goal that's 99% sure that you're going to make it and you miss it, you're in trouble.
Right. There's all kinds of things like that. Your sack and your fumbling.
Yeah,
and you look
right.
I drive myself crazy. I always have the percentages up. So I sit there and here's my guy. He's sacked, 2% chance.
Yeah,
There's
the game.
A fumble. It's like
The game will tell you early on who's going to win sometimes.
yeah, who's got the momentum, and then you just have to ride out the momentum and hope for the best.
Well, Jonathan Taylor did have 4 fumbles last year. So if you manage to have all 4 of those fumbles in his first week,
There you go. Could happen.
It could happen.
but if there was a betting line in Vegas,
It would be Dallas plus Seattle would need 21 on my uninformed. And I get again, if you dial it back when the game is up.
The problem I always have is I have good players usually, but not all of them are durable. So I go into some of these important games with some players that I need.
Yes. I think, Joe, you did a great job with the calls.
Yep. I always enjoy reading your articles, and hope you keep doing it because they're really a big part of the website.
well, they're
Yeah,
a lot
no-
of fun.
The one thing too, Lynn, is that we're running a tight ship here, so the games are due Wednesday at 7 Eastern, and if they're not in, they're going to be simmed, and we're getting the file out by 9 Eastern every week. So play your games, contact early. We don't really have formal contact rules. Just reach out if at all possible. Don't wait for the other guy. And then I will try to give an update maybe on Monday and say which games are still outstanding.
Yeah. You should have
But if
made contact by Friday. You don't have to
I was
play by
almost-
Friday.
Yeah, I was almost going to make a rule, but I'm like, I don't really want to make a rule. We do pretty good.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's a general good idea to have made contact by Friday because every day that you hesitate, you're losing available days.
Yeah, that's the worst possible thing to say Wednesday morning. When can we play?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's it, guys. We'll end it here, and we'll see you guys the next time. I don't know. A couple weeks, we'll do a show again. How's that?
Perfect.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, man. We'll see you then.
Take care.
That's all, folks.